All right, class, let's dive in. Today, we are stepping away from the classic clean-cut economic models. We're going to get our hands dirty and really dissect what we call the tourist's brain. The whole point here is to arm you, as the next generation of managers, with a much sharper, more realistic set of tools for understanding why your customers do what they do.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem we're tackling. For decades, neoclassical economics has been built on this idea of Homo economicus, the perfectly rational human. You know the one, right? The person who flawlessly calculates the costs and benefits of every single decision to get the most utility. But as we're about to see, that's just not how real people work. Your customers are so much more interesting than that. So, let's start by officially busting this rational tourist myth. Look, the traditional model, it's neat, it's tidy, and it gives us some nice, clean formulas. But its biggest strength is also its biggest flaw. It completely ignores the beautiful messiness of human psychology. Now, to be clear, behavioral economics doesn't just toss the old model in the trash. Think of it more as an upgrade. We're taking those foundational ideas and enriching them with what we know from psychology, accepting that people are, in fact, predictably irrational.
And this is the core of it, right here. The human mind isn't some spreadsheet. It's this incredible mix of feelings, emotions, and cognitive biases, things like loss aversion or confirmation bias, and all these little mental shortcuts we call heuristics. These are the invisible strings that are actually pulling the levers on decision-making. So as a manager, your role isn't just to throw facts and figures at people, it's to understand and ethically work with these very human, very powerful triggers.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get practical. Let's talk about the actual tools you can put in your managerial toolkit. And the first one is a big one, framing. This is a fascinating concept that shows how the way you present information can be far more important than the information itself. It can completely change how your customers perceive value and what choices they make. So, the framing effect, this was first really dug into by the legends Kahneman and Tversky, is one of the most solid findings in all of behavioral economics. And the key idea is that we don't make choices in a vacuum. Every decision is influenced by the frame it's presented in. As the slide says, you can keep all the facts the same, but just by changing the frame, you can completely change how valuable something feels. Okay, let's break this example down because it's perfect. On paper, these two statements are identical. A 90% chance of being safe is exactly the same as a 10% chance of an accident. But which one sounds better to you? I mean, it's not even a contest, right? Almost everyone picks 90% safe. This is a textbook example of what we call loss aversion. Our brains are hardwired to feel the sting of a potential loss much, much more intensely than we feel the pleasure of an equal gain. Framing it as a 10% risk triggers that powerful aversion to loss and just feels wrong. And the business application of this is absolutely brilliant. Think about the all-inclusive vacation package. What a genius use of framing. It takes all those little annoying pains of paying for a drink here, a snack there, and bundles them into one single upfront cost. This taps into something called mental accounting. Once you've made that one big payment, everything else on the trip feels free. It dramatically boosts how much you enjoy the experience, even if you end up spending the same amount of money or even more.
So while framing is all about highlighting gains versus losses, our second tool, anchoring, works a little differently. This is all about setting a reference point in the customer's mind. It's a really powerful pricing strategy that can fundamentally change how a customer perceives value.
The anchoring bias is just one of those weird things our brains do. We have this tendency to latch on to the very first piece of information we get, the anchor, and then we use that as the yardstick for everything that follows. And what's wild is that the anchor doesn't even have to be rational. It can be completely random, but it still has a huge measurable impact on our final judgment. Here we go, a classic real-world business example. The rack rate of 6 million rupiah is the anchor. It's a deliberately high number, and its whole purpose is to plant a high value for this villa in your head. The hotel probably doesn't expect many people to actually pay that price. No, its job is to make the online rate of 3 million look not just like a price, but like an incredible deal, a 50% discount. And that feeling you get, that little jolt of excitement from snagging a great deal, that actually has a name. The behavioral economist Richard Thaler called it transaction utility. It's the pleasure you get from the deal itself, which is totally separate from the pleasure you get from, say, staying in the villa. In this case, the customer isn't just happy about the vacation, they're happy because they feel like they saved 3 million rupiah, and that feeling is a massive driver of the decision to buy. All right, on to our third and final tool for today,
social proof. This one taps into something really fundamental about us as social creatures. When we're unsure about something, what's the first thing we do? We look around to see what other people are doing. Social proof is an incredibly powerful mental shortcut, especially when we're faced with uncertainty. If we don't have enough information to make a decision on our own, our brain defaults to a simple rule. If lots of other people are doing it, it's probably the right thing to do. We essentially outsource our decision-making to the wisdom of the crowd.
And boy, have the online travel agencies perfected this. You've seen this a million times. That little most booked badge, that's social proof telling you that this is a popular, safe choice. That message, 23 people are looking at this right now, that creates scarcity and urgency, a fear of missing out. And of course, a high star rating with thousands of reviews, that's the ultimate trust signal.
So why does this all work so darn well? It's really about cognitive ease. It reduces the mental energy we have to spend. Instead of spending hours comparing every single hotel detail, these little cues allow us to make a quick decision that feels safe and smart. We trust that the 1,452 people who left reviews have already done the hard work for us, and that gives us the confidence to hit that book now button.
So we've walked through 3 incredibly powerful tools from the world of behavioral economics: framing, anchoring, and social proof. Now let's bring it all together. Let's synthesize this into a concrete, practical playbook that you can start thinking about using.
If there's one thing you take away from our discussion today, I want it to be this. Your job as a manager is so much more than just facilitating a transaction. In a very real sense, you are an architect of choice. By understanding these predictable biases in human thinking, you can design and communicate your offers in a way that is vastly more effective and persuasive. So here it is, a simple 3-step playbook. 1, frame your offer to focus on the positive and bundle costs to reduce the pain of paying. 2, anchor your price. Always show a higher reference price to make your actual price feel like a fantastic deal. And 3, signal that social proof. Use reviews, testimonials, and popularity metrics to build trust and create a little bit of urgency. Let me just leave you with this final thought. None of this is secret academic knowledge anymore. It's out there, being used in the real world every single day. Your competitors are absolutely using these psychological tools. So the only real question left is, will you be the manager who understands and strategically uses them, or will you be the one who's just a victim of them?